Hey everyone, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about specifically all of the makeup products that I finished in 2021. And initially I wasn't going to film this video, so I actually didn't collect my makeup empties from 2021 because I do quarterly sort of empties videos that are mostly skincare, but I did decide to start including my makeup products in those empties. So I think for next year I'm gonna collect all my makeup empties and just do a big year-end makeup empties at the end of the year, because obviously I don't finish a ton of makeup products. I have 20 here to share with you, so it's kind of satisfying. I finished exactly 20 makeup products in 2021, like it's an even number. So I will be going through these products, sort of just giving like my little review, what I thought of them, obviously because I did use them a lot, because I did completely finish them up, so I'm able to give you sort of a full review on them. And I did also film products that I hit pan on in 2021, which was sort of what inspired this video, because I wanted to talk about all the products that I ended up completely finishing in 2021. So this is probably gonna start to become sort of like a yearly type of series. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. So the first product that I finished up was a lip balm, and it was from Fresh, one of the like fresh rose lip balms I'm sure you guys have seen before. I will try to pop pictures up on screen just because I don't have the products with me here, and I know it's kind of not as satisfying actually being able to see the empty products, but I still want to create this video because I thought it would be fun and interesting and I can give you a real in-depth review. So this lip balm was like a lip balm. I mean, it was nourishing and hydrating. I did like it. It was also a little bit tinted, so I wouldn't necessarily wear this lip balm when I was not wearing any makeup, but it was just like a really easy lip balm to throw on and finish up. Obviously, it didn't take me that long to finish lip balms. I can go through pretty quickly because I can reapply them multiple times a day. So also the brand Fresh is not cruelty free, so I just wouldn't repurchase that. Next up, we have a face primer that I finished off. It was from Touch in Sol, and it is their Glassy Skin Balm. And this one I did really enjoy. I love any kind of glowy, hydrating type of primer, so I wasn't surprised that I liked this. I did really love the way it made my skin look. It just gave me that really glassy effect, and it made my skin also really hydrated and prepped for makeup. So I did really enjoy this primer. However, I feel like it's a little bit more on the pricey side, and you can find drugstore prices or drugstore primers that are just as good. Right now I'm currently using the Milani, what is it? It's the Milani Supercharged Dewy Primer, and I do really love that one. I feel like that one is kind of similar to this Touch in Sol one, which this Touch in Sol one I did finish at the beginning of the year, so I don't fully remember exactly what it looked like on my skin, but I feel like the Milani one gives you that same kind of glass skin finish. So while I did really enjoy this glassy skin balm, I feel like I wouldn't repurchase it just because I can find more inexpensive products that are just as good. The next product is a concealer that I finished off, and I kind of forgot that I finished this concealer, but I feel like concealers is products that I tend to rotate through pretty quickly just because I apply those every day when I wear makeup. So this concealer was from Makeup Revolution, and it was just their original Conceal and Define concealer. I did enjoy this. It was definitely like very full coverage and a very like almost heavy concealer, but not in a bad way. Obviously I used this up more towards the beginning of the year, and I had no inkling to repurchase it, so it wasn't my favorite concealer, but it definitely wasn't a bad concealer. I've heard a lot of great reviews about this, and a lot of people do love this concealer, but it just wasn't for me. I think it was just a little bit too full coverage, and it wasn't as hydrating as I typically like my concealers to be. Next up, we have a lipstick, or more like a tinted lip balm type of product. It is one of the ColourPop lippy tint products, specifically in the shade Z Boys, and this I didn't love. It's basically like a tinted lip balm, but I felt like this more so dried my lips out than it did hydrate them. And this one I was able to go through pretty quickly because I can just reapply tinted lip balms multiple times throughout the day. But I really just wanted, like, force myself to get through this and wanted to get through it really quickly because it wasn't my favorite. I felt like it wasn't very nourishing to the lips. While it did provide a really pretty wash of color, it just wasn't like a lip balm that I actually enjoyed, and I just felt like it didn't hydrate my lips at all. If anything, it dried them out even more. So I don't really purchase from ColourPop anymore, but I wouldn't have repurchased this anyways. However, a different tinted lip balm that I did end up finishing off closer to the beginning of the year was the Tarte little, I forget exactly what they're called. They're like tinted balms, and it is specifically in the shade Wish, which is just a really like neutral everyday shade, so it was easy to throw on. And these are also pretty sheer because it is just a tinted lip balm, so it just adds that little bit of color. But with these Tarte tinted balms, I felt like they were super hydrating and really nourishing on my lips, so I did really enjoy using this one up, and I was almost sad to see it go, but I have so many tinted lip balm type products in my collection, so I feel like I would be interested in repurchasing one of the Tarte tinted lip balms, but I know I don't need it in my collection. I have so many glosses that kind of act as tinted lip balm, or at least I use them as more like hydrating products. So I definitely want to finish off a lot more glosses and maybe some of my lipsticks before I would end up purchasing this one. But this one I did really enjoy. So if you're looking into getting a tinted lip balm, I do really love these Tarte ones, and I feel like they provide just the right amount of color, and you can definitely sheer it out to be really sheer or build it up to be a little bit more pigmented, and they're definitely really nourishing and hydrating. I think they're one of my favorite tinted lip balms that I have tried that actually nourish my lips while providing a little bit of color. Next up, we have another primer. This one was from Wander Beauty, and it was their Glow Ahead Face Oil. So this one, again, I did really enjoy, and I don't know if I would repurchase it because it is, again, a little bit more on the pricey side. So I feel like there's drugstore primers that do a similar sort of thing that are just as good, but I did really enjoy it just because, like I said, I love any kind of hydrating face product, and this one was a little bit glowy while also being hydrating. So I did like this, and I don't know, I feel like I've thought about repurchasing it, but I don't think I would actually bite the bullet just because it is so expensive. Next up, we have another concealer, and this was just a little mini size of this concealer, but it was the Tarte Creaseless concealer. And if you guys have been watching me for this long, you would know that I really hated that concealer. It was basically the opposite of what it says. Like, it was the most creasy concealer that I think like I've ever tried. I just really didn't like it. It was almost like sticky and tacky. Like, it was almost like too hydrating in a way. Like, the finish of it on my skin, I just really didn't like, and I felt like it stuck into my fine lines a lot more than almost any other concealer that I've tried. So that was definitely one of my least favorite concealers that I've ever tried. So that one obviously would not repurchase. I'm glad I only had a mini size of it to finish up. Next up, we have one little cream blush. It was a mini Nude Sticks blush, and it was in the shade Sunkissed. I did really love this shade. However, I feel like I do have sort of similar shades to it in my collection now, so I'm not really missing it. And it was just a little mini, so it wasn't really tricky to finish up. And I did also enjoy using it, so I feel like I finished it pretty easily. I do have another one of their mini blushes in the shade Sweet Peach Peony that I am currently project panning and do want to finish up. So that was kind of on my list as products that I wanted to finish up anyways in 2021. So I'm glad that I was able to get that one done. I definitely wouldn't repurchase it. I also just don't use cream products that are in a stick form, which is kind of what I discovered this past year. I really more so love cream products that are in a pan. I feel like they're just easier to use, almost like your typical powder blush, but just in a cream form. Next up, we have another tinted lip oil type product. This was from Ilia. I believe it's called their Balmy Gloss. And, it's their Balmy Gloss tinted lip oil. So it's kind of like a gloss oil formula. And I did really like this formula. I did debate repurchasing it multiple times, but like I said, I have so many glosses in my collection. I just don't need to add this to my collection right now. And I'm really happy I was able to try it. But again, Ilia is more on the pricey side, so that's kind of what held me back from repurchasing it. And I feel like there's other tinted lip oils that I want to try out. Like, I feel like there's so many products that I want to try that when I finish one off, even if I do really like it, I'm sort of less likely to repurchase it because I'd rather try something new. And this is kind of what happened with this Ilia Balmy Gloss, because I did really love it, but I just have so many glosses in my collection, and there's other tinted lip oil type products that I would like to try before I go ahead and repurchase something that I've already used up and been able to try. Now, the next product is another lip product, and I didn't technically finish this, I don't think. It is a liquid lipstick from STILA in the shade Patina. It was just a little mini sample size. I definitely would not have been able to finish a full-size liquid lipstick, but I think I kind of finished it off, but it was just sort of starting to dry out, so it wasn't necessarily usable anymore. So I think I sort of just ended up decluttering it, but it was pretty much finished off. Like, I finished off the majority of that product, so that's why I added it to this list of my empties, not just my decluttered products. This was obviously a liquid lipstick, and I don't use liquid lipsticks really ever, so I did actually end up using this as a cream blush, and that's how I ended up panning it. So yeah, liquid lipsticks I'm not gonna purchase anymore generally, unless it's like not okay. That, let me rephrase that, because I'm not gonna purchase any liquid lipstick that are your classic liquid lipstick formula. If it's more of like a moussey type liquid lipstick, then I would be more interested, or I'd be okay with purchasing products like that are just more comfortable on lips. I just never reach for like the classic liquid lipstick type of formula. Next up, we have another gloss product. This one was from Bobbi Brown, and it was in the shade Force of Nature. I forget exactly what these products were called. It was like the lip gloss oil, or I think it was oil infused gloss or something like that. And Bobbi Brown is not cruelty free, so I would not repurchase it, but I did really enjoy it, and it was easy to use up just because it was like a nourishing tinted gloss that I could throw on my lips multiple times a day. So that was a pretty easy one to finish off. Next up, we have a liquid eyeshadow. This is one of the STILA Glitter and Glow eyeshadows, specifically in the shade Enchantress. And this one again was one that kind of dried up, so it wasn't really usable, but I had already used most of the product that was in the tube. So I don't think I would repurchase any of these STILA Glitter and Glows anymore. I just tend not to reach for liquid eyeshadows unless they're in projects. I do still have a couple of STILA Glitter and Glows in my collection that I would like to finish off next year or relatively soon, just because I never reach for them. So liquid eyeshadow is definitely something I have stopped purchasing. Next up, we have one bronzer, and this is sort of like a cheap bronzer because it was just a little sample, and it was from Kosas, the Kosas bronzer. So it did come with all three of the shades, like the light, medium, and deep. And I ended up using the deep as an eyeshadow. I did enjoy this, however, I just feel like there's better, or not better, but just as good bronzers at the drugstore that you can get for a lot cheaper. Like, I didn't think it was anything extraordinary. I didn't honestly really understand the hype of the Kosas bronzer after I tried this, because I feel like there's definitely similar products at the drugstore. You don't have to pay that much for just a glowy bronzer. There are a ton of more inexpensive options. So that one is definitely one I wouldn't purchase the full size of. Granted, I only tried a little sample, so I was only able to use it like once, maybe twice. So I didn't really get a really good like amount of use out of it. Like, I was only able to use it twice, so I wasn't really able to form a full opinion on it, but just from the couple times that I used it, I feel like there's similar products at the drugstore. Next up, I finally finished off my IT Cosmetics Brow Power little pencil. I feel like that one took me so long to finish, and I did finish that closer to the end of the year, like mid to the end of the year. And this pencil wasn't my favorite. I didn't love the shape of it. It was like a little oval shape. It wasn't like a slim pencil like I usually like with my eyebrows. It was also like slightly too dark for me. Like, it wasn't the best shade match for me, even though it's supposed to be like a universal brow pencil. I didn't love it, so I definitely wouldn't repurchase it, but it definitely wasn't bad. Next up, we have another primer from ColourPop. You can tell I go through primers relatively quickly, and this was their Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Primer. I did really love this, again, because it was super hydrating. So that was actually my second bottle that I had used up with that, but like I said, I don't purchase from ColourPop anymore, so I wouldn't repurchase that primer. However, I did really love it, but I feel like there's just as good dewy and hydrating primers at the drugstore that I can get from a brand that I would rather support. So that one I wouldn't repurchase, however, I did really enjoy it. The next product is another eyebrow product. It is from Billion Dollar Brows, and this did come in a BoxyCharm, so it wasn't something that was really on my wish list that I wanted to try out, but it was their Microblade Effect little brow pen thing. And this was really interesting because it was basically like a little fork that was supposed to mimic brow hairs, and I did really love the way it made my brows look. I felt like it was a little bit finicky to use just because the product wouldn't come out like evenly, and I feel like it also dried up really quickly. So I did enjoy it. I just feel like it took a lot longer to do my brows with that product, and I would use that, and I would also have to use like a brow pencil to fill in other areas of my brow. Like I would pretty much just use it in the front of my brow to get those hair-like strokes and then use a pencil on the rest of my brow. So I would prefer just to completely fill in my whole brow with a pencil, and with a pencil you can still get those kind of hair-like strokes because I do like a more thin eyebrow pencil. Next up, we have another primer. This is one that I was kind of unofficially panning, and I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler because I will be doing an update for my little unofficial project pan that I filmed a couple months ago, and this is the Milani Soft Focus Glow Primer. So this one I didn't find to be like extremely hydrating. It was more so for that glowy effect. And I didn't love this primer just because I felt like it didn't do much. Obviously, if you're putting a full layer of foundation or concealer over top of it, like, yes, it will be slightly more glowy, but I feel like it doesn't make that much of a difference that it's worth that extra step. So it also wasn't really hydrating, so it didn't do anything but put down that little bit of glow on my skin. So I feel like I would have liked this a lot more if it was hydrating as well as being glowy. So this one I definitely wouldn't repurchase. It wasn't anything bad. If you do just like a primer that's pretty glowy without giving you necessarily hydration or any other kind of benefits, I don't think this is a bad product. It just wasn't like the best product for me. Next up, a lip gloss that I finished off is my Fenty Beauty Hot Chocolate Gloss. This was probably like my favorite shade of the Fenty glosses, so I'm kind of sad to have it finished off, but like I said, I have so many glosses in my collection, so I really haven't missed it since I finished it off. I also have 4 other shades of the Fenty gloss in my collection, and this was just a little mini size from one of their holiday kits, so there was a ton of product in that, so I was able to get a lot of use out of it. So I think that they are a really good value for those little sample sizes because there's so much product in them, but I wouldn't repurchase them. I don't know, I've kind of strayed away from purchasing from Fenty just because I believe they are in the gray area when it comes to the cruelty-free status, but I don't know how I'm feeling about cruelty-free statuses these days because they really just tell you what you want to hear. That's a whole different topic, but I did end up finishing off that gloss, so I'm glad I was able to get another gloss out of my collection. And then the last product that I ended up finishing off is another eyebrow product. It is from NYX, and it's their Micro Brow Pencil. I think this is my favorite brow pencil that I've tried in general, just because, like I said, I like a really small, thin brow pencil, and I also I don't like it to be super creamy, but I also don't like it to be really waxy. And I am currently using the LA Girl brow pencil, and that one is not my favorite. I feel like it's a little bit too waxy for me. Like, it's just a little bit tricky to apply. So I do definitely prefer the NYX brow pencil over the LA Girl one. But I haven't tried like a ton of brow pencils, so there are a bunch more that I would like to try out, but I did really enjoy the NYX pencil, and I would definitely go back to that one. But that is it for all of the makeup products that I completely finished off. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've finished off any makeup products down below in the comments. I would really love to know, and if you did enjoy this, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I do post new videos 3 times a week, but currently in the month of December, you guys are getting a bonus video from me each week. So if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified every time I post. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.